Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting language arts lesson. Today we will be looking at the strand phonics. I know that you love phonics. I do too. So let's get right to it. We have been looking at the story The Bun Shop. It is there in your reading text. I know that you love that story. And so we will be looking at some of the words that are in the story. We want to be able to identify the words and we want to be able to pronounce them correctly. So you're going to listen to me and we are going to be engaging in some exciting activities. Let us look at our objectives for today. At the end of the lesson, students should be able to 1. Pronounce words with the ed ending correctly. 2. Use word wall to identify rhyming words and spell sight words. 3. Demonstrate the use of word sorts to categorize words with the same ed ending. And 4. Read at least 5 sentences from the text which contain words ending with ed. Now, boys and girls, I want for you to scan your reader quickly and see how many words that end with ed you can identify. I have done it already, but I am going to give you the opportunity to do so. So take a minute. Is my list. What do you notice about the list that I have here on the screen? Yes, boys and girls, they are all verbs. And we know that verbs are action words or doing words. Also, they are all ending with ed. Okay, boys and girls. Remember, we are looking at how to pronounce ed. I have a few questions I want for you to bear in mind during the lesson. Here they are. What do we know about adding ed to the end of verbs? Does ed always sound the same when placed at the end of verbs? How many different sounds there are? What are they? I know that you are anxious to tell me the answers to these questions. However, I do know that some of us don't know the answers. And so we are going to be learning a lot so that we can answer these questions at the end. Let us continue. There are 3 sounds to the ed when placed at the end of verbs. Did you know that? I know that you did. Do you know the sounds? Well, let me tell you. Ed can say id. I says I and D says D. When put together, they say id. The second sound, ed, can say D. The letter D says D. And the third sound, ed, can say T. Did you know that? Yes, boys and girls, there are 3 sounds, id, d, and t. Follow closely, listen carefully, and join with me. We are going to be learning a lot today. Now, boys and girls, I want for you to get your musical instruments in hand because we are going to be singing a song. Now, this song is to the tune, Sammy plant piece of corn down a gully. You know that tune? Yes, let us do it now. Pronouncing final ED is very easy. Pronouncing final ED is very easy. There are three sounds to remember. There are three sounds to remember. Id, d, and t are the three sounds. Id, d, and t are the three sounds. You must know them and use them correctly. You must know them and use them correctly. Now, you're going to join in with me. Let us go. 1, 2. Pronouncing final ED is very easy. Pronouncing final ED is very easy. There are three sounds to remember. There are three sounds to remember. Id, d, and t are the three sounds. Id, d, and t are the three sounds. You must know them and use them correctly. You must know them and use them correctly. Did you enjoy yourself as much as I did? Oh, yes, you did. Wonderful. Let us continue because I know that you want to do some practice. For us to remember when to use these sounds correctly, we must bear in mind a few rules. Let us look at the first rule. The past tense ending sound id is only used with verbs that end with a t or d sound. When added, it creates the sound of another syllable. For example, the verb want, want, becomes the past tense verb wanted, which is pronounced wanted, forming two syllables, want and id, wanted. Let's try another one. The verb need, need, becomes needed, a past tense verb, and is pronounced needed, forming two syllables, need and id, needed. The verb decide, decide, becomes the past tense verb decided, decided, forming three syllables, decided. Let's try another one. The verb dedicate, dedicate, becomes the past tense verb dedicate, and is pronounced dedicated, forming four syllables, dedicated, dedicated. Remember, boys and girls, you can tell how many syllables a word contains by simply placing your hand beneath your chin and count the number of times your chin goes down. Say the word dedicated slowly. How many times your hand went down? Yes, boys and girls, 4 times, indicating to us that there are 4 syllables in that word. Now, let me do it for you. Dedicated. You see, my chin went down 4 times. So, there are 4 syllables in that word. Have you been learning so far? I know you are. Let us continue to the next sound. Now, boys and girls, for this sound, we have to know about what is voiced sounds. Voiced sounds are those sounds that cause the throat to vibrate. By touching your throat, you will feel vibrations as you make these sounds. Do it along with me. Put your hand on your throat. Repeat after me. B, D, G, Z, V, L, R, Z, J. Did you feel the vibrations? Oh yes, our throat vibrated for all of those sounds. Therefore, all of these sounds are voice sounds. Your throat vibrates because your voice is on. The second rule that we are going to be looking at says the ed ending of voiced sounds takes on a d sound when placed at the end of verbs. Here are some examples. The verb clean, clean, becomes the past tense verb cleaned, cleaned, and is pronounced cleaned, having only one syllable. The next example, the verb dream, dream, becomes the past tense verb dreamed, and is pronounced dreamed, having only one syllable. A few other examples. The verb save, save, becomes saved, and is pronounced saved, having only one syllable. Let us pause here. Notice the verb save. A e is at the end of the verb. When we add ed to it, we drop the e. Therefore, the past tense verb saved is spelled saved. Let us continue. The verb enjoy, enjoy, becomes the past tense verb enjoyed, and is pronounced enjoyed, having two syllables still. Try that one. Put your hand beneath your chin and say enjoy. Enjoy. Two syllables. So when we add ed to that word, we have two syllables still. Let us continue. The verb worry, worry, becomes the past tense verb worried and is pronounced worried, having 2 syllables still. Let us look carefully at this verb again. Worry, worry, ends with a Y. And as you know already, we change the Y to I before and in the ending. So our past tense verb, worried, is spelled worried. Okay,